And welcome back. Well, the Women's Center provides safety, shelter, and support to women and their families.
They provide free services designed to address the issues of domestic violence, sexual assault, and abuse. And here with more on their programs, services, and a special anniversary event is the Executive Director, Angela Mancuso. And we're happy to see you this morning.
Good
Thanks
to
so
see
much
you.
for being here.
Good morning.
The services that you provide at the Women's Center are not just for women, right? They're also for families, for children?
Correct. So we provide services for adult and child survivors of domestic violence, sexual assault, and abuse. So that's women, children, and men as well.
When it comes to the Women's Center and things like that, we would like to think that we don't need those kind of services, but there's a huge need in our community, isn't it? What's the reality of women and families coming to your center?
Well, we work with a couple thousand people a year. So through all of our services, that's our shelter, transitional living, 24-hour hotline. We do individual and group counseling, job readiness and life skill development, legal advocacy, and community education. So we're trying to provide as many comprehensive services as possible to help individuals move beyond the trauma of the abuse.
You have an anniversary luncheon that's coming up to help raise awareness and support the programs and the services that you provide. How was it that you decided to have Tanya Brown be your featured speaker?
Well, she's been a longtime advocate against domestic violence, and she's a motivational speaker and life coach, and she has a new book about the characters of abuse. And so actually before the mini-series, before we were aware of the mini-series, we had been discussing bringing her. So she's just well known as an advocate.
And talk about that, because the new mini-series, it's American Crime Story, The People vs. O.J. Simpson. It's gotten a lot of publicity. A lot of people are talking about it. What does she say about it?
Well, she and Ron Goldberg's family also, will say that the families weren't consulted at all about the miniseries, so nobody is representing the two victims. So it's easy, people can forget, especially over 20 years, that families and children are left to pick up the pieces when there is a domestic violence homicide, and then they are re-traumatized having to live through this and all of the press and the miniseries, so it's difficult.
It's shocking, too, to think that a miniseries like this is going to get a lot of attention, because, I mean, the case in our country's history, brought the spotlight to domestic violence in a way that nothing else probably ever has. And to think that something would be done about that and that their families wouldn't be consulted, it's probably shocking to you as well.
It is, and it's also disappointing and discouraging, because as advocates we work so hard to represent the voice of those who are traumatized by a loved one, and a homicide is of course the absolute most difficult, traumatizing thing we can go through. So they're feeling left out and disrespected. It really is. It's a testament to the work that we have to continue to do to raise awareness about the prevalence of domestic violence.
I think there's two things I'd like you to talk about a little bit. But first of all, for people who know someone who they suspect or they know are in a violent or potentially violent or abusive, even emotionally, situation, what are the kinds of things you can say? Because I think so often people in that situation eventually become isolated because they push people away if they're trying to help, or they don't want them to know, or whatever it may be. How do you, as a friend or family member or bystander, help that person?
That's a great question. Well, first is to be non-judgmental, because that can push your friend or family member farther away from you. So it's, not to badmouth or slander their partner, but to be supportive, understanding, non-judgmental, and know the community resources, so that if you need to help your friend or family member, you can make a referral quickly. But a victim knows themselves better than anybody else. So trying to tell somebody what they should do, should is a naughty word in advocacy, because it's making somebody feel like they're doing something wrong, and that's victim blaming. So it's just being very understanding and supportive, letting them know that you understand, and if they want to talk to you, you're there for them. If they want you to take action and provide any other support, you are there for them.
How long do people usually stay in a situation like that before they potentially get out? Is there any sort of statistic or such about that?
Well, it takes a woman 6 times to successfully leave her abuser.
Wow.
And the spectrum is it can be verbal and emotional abuse, which can lead to physical violence and all the other forms of abuse too. So it is difficult, and oftentimes, you know, victims want the abuse to end, not the relationship.
Yeah.
And so it's a process, not an event.
Yeah. That's great information.
Fascinating. Yeah, that's very interesting. I want to give people information about the event that you have coming up, this anniversary luncheon. The keynote speaker is Tanya Brown, the sister to Nicole Brown Simpson. That's happening Friday, May 13th, so that you can put it on your calendar, starting at 11 a.m. at the Italian Community Center. To find out more, here's the website that you can visit. It is twcwaukesha.org. You can also contact the Women's Center and find out more about the anniversary luncheon by calling them at 262-547-4600. Always great to see you.
Thanks, Angela.
Thank you.
Thank you.